On the back of it right here, it also says, it can be planted in full sun, 6+ hours of sun, 45 days to harvest, and it is container friendly. So I didn't even look at the back of this package before I start doing what I was doing. So this what I'm doing maybe should work out for me. Once you see me under the greenhouse or my shade house, this is what we call a greenhouse in a tropical or subtropical climate because it protects the plants from our dangerous element. In the colder climate, you will find other type or other styles of greenhouse which protect the plants from the frost or from that cold. Here, it is to protect the plants from the sun in our climate, which we're in here in Florida, and other tropical and subtropical places around the world. So shade cloth for us in the tropics is a greenhouse, but not too much on that. The greenhouse is not what we're here about today. It is now getting warm here in Florida, or it has gotten warm a long time ago. We are seeing temperatures in the mid 90s, upper 90s last week. I think we went to 97 last Thursday or Wednesday, thereabout. So we're seeing record temperatures for this time of year here in Florida. And I still want to have a few lettuce, and it's hard to have lettuce growing in a Florida garden in these types of temperatures. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead. I have some lettuce here in my top pocket. These are the Black Seeded Simpson's lettuce. There you go. I'm not sure how well it's picking up, but these are a so-called, or I'm not going to say so-called, these should be a heat-tolerant lettuce, and even though they're heat-tolerant for Florida, I don't think it's advisable for you to put them outdoor into the garden to have direct sunlight. You want to have them maybe under shade cloth like this, where you have maybe 45 to 55 or even 60% shade over these plants if they're supposed to grow for you to get a harvest. I know for sure that they will germinate, but I'm not sure how well they're going to handle the heat. And we're in a year where we're expecting a super El Nino. So the climate can be extreme from one end to the next. You can have real heavy rains, or we can have real hot days when it comes to a super El Nino. So what I'm gonna do, I have these pots all set out here, and I'm just gonna drop a few of these lettuce seeds in them and start watering them. But just a few tips for anyone that is going to try this, and I'm not advising anyone to try it. This is just something that I'm trying now. We'll be sharing it with you guys. If it works, then we can go for it next year again, or I can go for it next year again. But I just want to be the guinea pig of this for you guys. So in planting your black seeded Simpson's lettuce, you're going to want to keep your soil moist at all time. You're in a subtropical climate or even a tropical climate, the soil is going to dry out very quick. Even though you're under the shade house, that humidity is going to suck away from the plant, from the soil, and the plant is going to be very challenged to get moisture. So you want to keep your medium that you're going to be putting in as moist as possible. I was thinking about doing like a hydroponic system, but I really don't have the money and time for that now, which I've seen some very inexpensive ones, but later down the road I may try a hydroponic system under this greenhouse that I have here. I'm going to be direct sowing or planting these lettuce seed, whichever way you take it. I'm going to put them in these containers. So these are going to be their forever home. I won't be transplanting these lettuce seed. With lettuce, lettuce don't need to be sown deeply. They just need to be lightly covered with soil. This mix that I have here, it is not the ideal mix. This is just a bag of black cow that I had, and I just put it down or throw them in these containers. So I'm just gonna see how it works out, but it should work out well in these containers. So this is how I'm going to be working these lettuce in this area that I have here. I'm going to be direct sowing the seeds in these containers, which means I'm not going to be removing the seeds, the seedlings from these containers. These containers will be there forever home unless I have multiple seed germinate and we have clusters in these containers. Then I'll just transplant a few of those seedlings or thin them out to get more lettuce or get more space for the lettuce that are going to be in these containers. So nothing is wrong if I can get maybe an extra 6 or extra dozen, which I can put elsewhere in the greenhouse. I'm going to keep them under the shade. As I've said before, I don't want to do that experiment to try them out in the direct sunlight, because no matter how heat tolerant you might hear they say a lettuce is, it is just a different strain of seed that are put together just to be a bit more heat tolerant. But in general, lettuce don't like heat, so you still have to be careful with these because they may get finicky on you and start bolting or just die back when the heat gets too much on them. So I have some black cow in these containers. I don't normally use black cow. I tend to go for the regular timberline. But since I have the black cow here, and with sowing lettuce, you don't need to bury the seeds that deep. You need to have the seed maybe about 1/8 of an inch down in the soil, and that should be good for your lettuce. So this mix that we have here, it's a bit of a chunky mix. It's a black cow, and if you know, you know. I'm going to be dropping about 4 seeds in this one and just shuffle it about, and I'm just going to use the water to get it down into the soil. So that's all I'm doing. So that's 4 seed right there. Over here another 4, and these seeds, they're not all that tiny, so you can select and get 4 seeds at a time and just drop them into that particular location that you want them, center of your pot or tray. With lettuce, they take about 7 to 14 days to germinate, so I'm gonna have to wait out and see how well these germinate. And if this does work, guys, I'll be doing this next summer again, because lettuce is one of my favorite plants in the garden. Also, we do consume lettuce a lot in this household. And for the next 2 weeks or so, I'm going to be keeping these containers moist, and they will be drying out very fast in this heat. It's now maybe about 10:30 in the morning, and I'm already sweating, and I'm under the shade cloth really doing nothing, because this is not hard work, and I'm just under here sowing a few lettuce seeds and I'm sweating away. So that goes to show you how hot it is here in Florida. If I was in Jamaica, I could have planted lettuce now without have to be going through this. Many other things, even brassicas, certain places in Jamaica, you can plant them this time of year and you will be good. But Florida is way hotter than Jamaica. And this is not a feeling, this is fact. Because every time I say certain things which are factual, you have people, just because they don't feel that way, they don't, or they try to challenge it. But it's not about feelings, it's about facts. And Central Florida, for sure, is hotter than Jamaica on average. Not year round, because we have quite a mild winter, but for most parts we are hotter than the Caribbean. Once you get inland, where you don't, because in Jamaica what happened is it's hot, but they have that trade wind blowing across the island, and it's quite a small island. So yes, the heat is there, but that humidity, like what you're getting in Florida here with that heat, just doesn't exist in Jamaica. And before you challenge it, just go and do your homework, go and do your research, because in my last video I put out a short saying that, what was it again? Gardening, it shouldn't be a lifestyle, it should be a way of life. And a few people took it to heart and was telling me that a lifestyle and a way of life are the same things, which they are not. A lifestyle is what you choose to do as an individual, a family, or an household. A way of life is a cultural activity. That is the way a culture lives. So it doesn't matter what you think or believe individually, doing in your household, that's your lifestyle. But the way of life of a population or of a people, it's a cultural thing. So they are two separate things. Sometime before we start typing, just sit back, think about what you're going to type, do some research. Not because Country Murray is a gardener means you can run in on him with every and anything. It's not just a Jamaican thing, it's a Caribbean thing. Caribbean children that went to school, you don't challenge them. Not because some of us may talk slow, not because of an accent, doesn't mean that we don't know what we're talking about. You will lose miserably 99% of the time if you're running on us the wrong way. So just be careful, do your research before you come and challenge us. That's all I'm saying. So I'm done soaking these things through, and I have water dripping all the way through the holes in the bottom of these containers. That will help with retaining moisture, because you'll have more of this medium that is wet instead of just having the upper layer where the seeds are, just for that to be wet. So now everything is wet, it will retain more moisture right now, and it will be harder to dry out. So I'm going to keep it this way, as I said before, for maybe 2 weeks or so. Then when I get the plants in, I will know exactly how I'm going to be watering, whether it's going to be 2 or 3 times a day. Most likely this is going to need a lot of pampering, so maybe I'll be watering these twice a day, morning and evening time. So now we have these containers fully soaked, the seeds are in. I'm going to be keeping them moist, wait until germination, and then when that growth process starts, because the growth process is quite different from germination process. When the growth process starts, that is when the plants are going to be needing nutrients. Seeds don't need nutrients to germinate. All they need is ideal condition. That's really what they need. So light, warmth, and moisture. Then they'll germinate. Whenever that growth phase starts, then I'm gonna be thinking about nutrition. I know for sure that rabbit manure won't work here in this situation right now, because rabbit manure is very slow. I would have to have this soil mix set maybe like 3 months ago with rabbit manure for that to be readily available for those plants that will be coming up in these containers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using an so-called organic fertilizer. It's not fully organic. I think they used to advertise it as organic back then, but it's not fully organic. It's called milorganite. Most people call it Milo. It's like a lawn fertilizer. I don't remember the ratio on it. I haven't bought a bag in years. I used to use it on my Bermuda lawn when I just started it out, just to get the lawn looking like a golf course at first. But then after having rabbits and start getting rabbit manure and thing, I moved away from it. So now I'm going to be going back for it. It's a slow release. So whenever I get that growth phase, maybe about 2 inches within the lettuces, I'll be going in for a bag of milorganite and just sprinkle a bit in all of these containers just to push these plants. As I said, the rabbit manure, it's going to kick in way too late for these lettuce that I'm going to be planting in the warmer time here in Central Florida. So remember now, most lettuce are best grown in cooler temperatures. Once the temperatures start getting above maybe 75 or 80, that's when your lettuce seeds are going to struggle to germinate. But since they have this one and they say that it's a warmer season variety, I'm going to be trying it out and let you guys know. Where is it again? Let me just get it one more time, because I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find it to put it on screen for you guys. But this is what it looked like. So it's the Black Seeded Simpson's lettuce. And on the back of it right here, it also says, it can be planted in full sun, 6+ hours of sun, 45 days to harvest, and it is container friendly. So I didn't even look at the back of this package before I start doing what I was doing. So this what I'm doing maybe should work out for me. I'm hoping so. And here it also says again that it has a crispy texture and it's a loose head variety. So that kind of makes sense. With the heat, even with your cabbages and most of the lettuce that fold, your brassicas that fold, they don't fold that well once the heat comes in. So if it's going to be a heat tolerant variety, you wouldn't expect it to fold, have a hard head. So let's see how this one works. It should be looking something like this, and we have 45 days to know if it really works, because until harvest I'm not going to give it a pass mark. The plant or the seed has to be planted or sown, and it should come to full maturity for harvest for me to tell you that it was a success. I can't have a lettuce that they said that it's a warm season lettuce. I go ahead, sow it, it germinates, start the growth process, but within 2 to 3 weeks it dies back. That is not success. I didn't get any lettuce at all. So we're going to run this until harvest to know whether or not it can be done here in Central Florida or any other warm location across the world. So stick around with me and let's see how these lettuce come along. So in the case where I have too much or I have maximum germination success from these that I just direct sowed, I'll be just moving them over into some of these containers that I have here, because I have a lot of containers that I'm not using and they're right here. So these will be good to put those lettuce in, and if they're looking good at maybe week 4, I can go ahead and do a succession sowing, because I don't think I'll be picking from those lettuce and allowing them to continue grow. I'll just uproot them and use them as is. I'm not going to take that chance for them to bolt on me, because when the heat gets too much on them and they bolt, they're going to become bitter. It's just hard to reverse a lettuce that has bolted on you. So if it was in the cooler months, maybe I could have cut it back and it would come again, and then those leaves wouldn't be bitter. But with this heat that we're expecting, or which we know of in our summer months here in Florida or the tropics, if you're in the Caribbean or even Australia, it's just not worth it if you're going to do it this way. Just plant, do a bit of succession planting if you're getting success from it under your shade house, or even under a tree, a shaded tree. You could go ahead and try these lettuce seeds under a shaded tree also. I'm just using this because I really don't have a shaded tree like that. The tree that is hanging over from my neighbor, it is not per se a shaded tree for lettuces. It's so big and high, the sun is going to be hitting them all day. So this is a better way for me to do my little experiment on them and see if they do work out as warm season lettuce, that is. So that's going to be it from Country Morrow. God bless you all. See you in the next one. Happy gardening. Cheers.